But I do think, like, she's probably right after those. Yeah, I do think that she's, like, right after those, though. All right.
All right. You leaving, Ian? Bye.
Bye.
Matt, do you
Good
want back
job.
on or no? Okay. That is okay.
Yeah, I also, because I was talking a ton for my other, like, my job before this, that I was like, I cannot get on commentary right away.
Yeah,
I'm fine now.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. It's weird. I realized recently, like I got sick recently, and I realized just how much talking I do because my throat was like, my throat resource was like not something I had much of.
This camera looks so ridiculous.
Doesn't it?
It's very funny.
Yeah. I wish I knew how to make it focus better, but I don't.
It's
So
fine.
I'll talk to Pete about that, I guess. But all right, we are getting into grand finals. These two played in grands of Run the Rivals 1, and it was a super hot Game 5 set. I believe Landon took it.
Landon did take it.
Yes, and they actually, these two didn't play last week.
They did? All right.
They did not.
They were both there, though, last week,
They
right?
were both there.
Okay, they were just on opposite sides.
seeds 1 and 2, and there were upsets and weird things that happened to make it so they didn't play. Like last week, Mastro beat Landon in semis to play Veka in winners finals, and this week Mastro beat Landon again to play.
But then couldn't beat him, but then lost to Veka, yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, it's been a little weird. These two really don't play outside of the late stages of bracket, which makes sense. But it's really been like a winners finals or grand finals kind of thing. Not even like.
Which is probably good. I mean, I think they're clearly two of the best in the scene.
Yeah,
but also they play against each other a lot.
They do. Yes. Which is why, but it's also this thing where, when you do get to see them.
You know it's going to be a good set.
You know it's going to be a good set, yeah. Because you know you're at a part in bracket where it's like, yep, we're getting bangers now.
Well, and I like that the scene is good enough, but also like new and fresh enough.
Yeah.
That we're just going to constantly be seeing all those random upsets for a long time.
And we're going to be, the other nice thing is the players that are newish at the game now, give them a couple months, right?
Well, I mean,
it's
there's
gonna be
people
like,
that played here today that I was like, oh, you're already way better than last time I saw you.
Yeah, right? Like, I like players like Addict, where it's like he came in and he was way better than I was expecting, and he's also on the grind.
Yes.
And it's like...
We have a ton of players here right now that are... Mainly that have all come from different games that are all on this, like, yeah, right now, this is the game I'm grinding. This is the game I'm, like actively trying to figure out, like, okay, I'm going into this Discord and seeing, like, okay, what's the flowchart of this edge guard, or what's this?
Which is super fun because it's a weird, like, community fusion. Like, we get some melee players, we get some ultimate players, we get people in between, we get people who came from FGC, you know? It's all over the place, and it's
dope.
It's super cool, yeah. Because not only does it allow all these people to meet all these other new people who are sick at their games, and maybe, and like, you know.
But there's also the where even if the player is like Master Darde is clearly better than me.
Yeah.
But has also been like, hey, how did you do that? Like, that one thing was really cool. I need to figure out how to...
Yeah, right.
I want to lab that out later, too. Like,
it's cool because everybody has different experiences, too.
Oh my God,
like, coming from different games, right? Oh, my God, yeah.
It was just so much.
Yeah. Ironically, I think Clairen has one of the easiest times contesting Clairen off stage.
I do. I actually do think that. Because everyone else is like, oh, well, I have to deal with this big sword. And Clairen's just like, I'm going to down tilt more.
Yeah. Because down tilt is so long. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like Mark down tilt in Melee.
Oh, yeah, it's almost one for one.
Poking at, like, Firefox.
I'm sure it's not, like, the same length. But the utility of it feels extremely similar.
Well, that was one of the first things I noticed about watching this game. It's like, yeah, it makes sense that these two are playing this character.
Yes.
Like, Veka's coming from PM Roy, where down tilt is...
And Landon is coming from Melee and PM
coming from Marth, right? It makes a whole lot of sense.
And there's aspects of both in this kit.
Yeah.
Like, I think even in just down tilt, I think most hits of down tilt feel like Marth.
Yep.
If you get that tipper where it pops up though, suddenly you're not rolling with down tilt again. Like, ooh.
Okay.
Was not expecting that final hit there.
All right, game 1 to Veka here.
Do it stretch 4x3 would be so funny.
I agree.
If I knew how to do that in a way that wouldn't, like, there's no way to do that without disrupting the players.
We can figure it out.
Like, that's something that would be really funny for me to do on my own stream at home.
Oh, yeah.
And not on my own stream, but in tournament here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I unironically do think, though, I wish there were... I wish that it was easier to... I wish that that kind of... that aspect ratio was... It's really nice for Streamlabs because it gives you so much free space.
I think I had made this whole thread before about, like... I get why a lot of other communities don't. Like, I think there's a lot of... Let's use fighting games, for example, FGC. There's a bunch of cultural things that are just like, oh, that's not what Smash did, but I appreciate that they do it this way.
Yep.
Whether it's, like, I understand why traditional fighting games almost never do PRs or rankings. Even though I'm like, oh, I'm used to it, I like it, but I get it. But then there's things like fighting games almost never do player cams that are, like, actively in. And that's the one thing that I'm like, I miss this so much. When I watch, like, a Street Fighter tournament and I don't see their reactions the entire time.
It's weird because there's also a lot more on screen is the hard thing
and
in a lot of those games, but
so what I was going to say is that, like, that is... Oh, is it too low?
Wow.
Yeah. No. But, like, I'm so lucky for, like, that... For, like, my main game for so long with Melee. And it's still, like, I actively do a bunch for it. I still commentate it. But Melee, because it's 4x3, is just built to be like, well, we gotta have some space somewhere.
Yeah, it's perfect for player
cams. We have to cover it, or else it looks weird not to do something there. So, like, I was just so used to watching all of these streams that had Melee's aspect ratio. And then you know, PM, where it's also, like, old CRT stuff, that then going to finally playing modern games for once was like, oh no, where do you put the player cams?
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely a whole new set of design challenges, but at some point I think it would be cool to design like a Melee layout because there's so much space to put all of the extra stuff. Like I really like what I really like the Genesis layout that they've settled on, where they have like the port on screen and like rotating like social medias and pronouns and all that up there.
Just sneaks the ledge there.
Yeah. Wow, this has been incredibly explosive so far, and I don't expect that to change. It's been ridiculous.
I will say, there was that stock where Veka just went a little too low down at like 17. But
yeah. But I feel like any set between these two, I am from the outset, I'm expecting it to go to distance pretty much regardless. That's just how it is between these two.
I mean, they were saying earlier that or at least 2 weeks ago, that it kind of came down to like player versus player and like game sense.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, honestly.
Where Veka has a little bit of an edge on the player versus player habits, and Landon has been grinding the game so much that has a little bit more of that.
Oh no, that's I can definitely see that. It's the kind of thing where it's like, but it's also the kind of thing where if you play someone so much like these two do, you can start to like.
I love that follow-up of the slide off. Doesn't quite hit the down air.
Yeah.
Great. These two are so good at teching. Especially those like forward strong wall attacks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think that comes from playing Clairen versus Clairen so much.
Yes.
Where that's something you have to do to not die at like 60. So.
Well, it's very funny that Veka like knows this about Clairen because she's played it so much.
Yeah.
And then like in the Minnesota Discord was like, I don't understand how Loxodon's magma works at all.
I did see that. That was very funny.
Like, yeah, that honestly makes sense. We don't have any Loxes, and you tend to play way more like local or direct.
Yep.
As soon as we have a good Loxodon, you'll have to learn that one.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple people that have played Loxodon, but it's not like...
Not that
like
Gus her to like...
Gus has dropped blocks a long time ago, and Evan doesn't enter this tournament because he's TOing, so... That's true, yeah. Ryan Franzlow. He plays Arcane, doesn't he? Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
I want him to show up to one of these. I think he'd do well.
I think he would too.
Yeah.
But
it would be cool just because he plays characters that nobody else in the scene plays too, right? It's like Arcane Lox, Edelus, like we don't see even across like the entire bracket, we don't see any of those.
No, there's a couple characters that we just. Do we have a fleet? We have fleets that aren't here today.
We have a good fleet, but she works on Mondays, so that's unlucky. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure she would be here like every week. But
something I've been thinking about doing is on stream. I've been doing like getting every character to level 50.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't want to do it every week, because I would get very sad.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be fun to do, like, once I get a character to 50, it's the next local I go to. That's a weekly, like, I have to play that character at the local. Since
that would be fun.
Since it's already up my stream. It's different now that you guys are like, wait, why are you paying for it? So if I'm not paying to enter, I'm definitely down to do that. If I'm paying to enter, I'm like, well, I want to play my main in order to get better.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like it just makes sense. Like, why are we making you pay for,
I
for a
also
local that you're streaming? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. But
yeah, I think that could be a fun.
Oh, this is nasty.
I will force character diversity into the stream.
Well, there you go. I'm excited to see your Orcade next week.
The next one is Maple.
Okay. Well, we're gotta start somewhere. Gotta start somewhere. Yeah, gotta start somewhere. By default, yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, though the only ones I've gotten to 50 so far are obviously Force Burn, Clairen, and then I got Locks to 50.
Got Locks to 50. Okay, sure.
Do I have anybody else? My Zetter's really close because I used to main him. And then, yeah, now I'm working on
this is so tense. Oh, my God.
It is. They're both at that 50-50%
It's one of those, it was one of those scenarios where it's like, yeah, neither of them are wanting to commit at all because it's last stock, last hit, basically. And
yeah, if they're not at the, like, anything will confirm kill, but they are at the, like, Eddie 50-50 guess wrong will confirm kill. Like,
oh,
that's not even a 50-50. That's just the nair into the down air.
Yeah. Wow. So, game 3 to Landon. Now, Landon is in winners, so Landon's only going to have to win one set. And this is a classic commentator moment. They love talking about how resets work.
They do.
But yeah, Landon's
that's why they pay me money.
Yes, they pay you money to
specifically to talk about how brackets work, not the rest of the.
They pay you money to talk about what a bracket reset is to all the 12-year-olds in chat. That's crazy.
See, and every time I don't do it, there's at least one person who's like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I guess I have to.
That is why they pay you money. Yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy. Oh man.
It's a little different. You try to frame it as like I'm explaining the stakes of why the players might feel tense, and not like, here's how bracket works, kids.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
But
though,
it is what it is.
The way you word something. You can frame it however you want, but you know how it feels in your head. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh man.
One of the funny ones recently that I've worked on is I was getting some feedback about like, oh, you're like talking about yourself too much. Here it's fine because it's my stream and at a local, but like. And I realized the reason people thought that is because there was enough times where I'd be like, oh, I was talking to this player and they told me this.
Yeah.
And so all I did was just be like, all right, so this player said this thing, and I just stopped saying I was talking to them.
Yeah.
And all the feedback was like, yeah, why is this great? And like, stopped talking about himself too much. And I'm like, all I did was just slightly change how I raised.
Yeah, literally.
That was the fun. Like, it was literally at Genesis that I made that change, and I was like, oh, this worked.
Yeah.
Very funny.
No, it's crazy how little stuff like that. I mean, I remember when I
was.
But I'm
like, I get it. If I'm phrasing it that way, it's like, yeah. It's like, okay, then instead of saying I was talking to them and they said this, just go straight into, well, they said this thing.
Look at this neutral. Landon's literally just perfect spacing on down tilt. We're just not committing to anything. It's beautiful. Because it's. Oh yeah.
No, you're good. I just want to.
Oh yeah. It's one of the browser windows.
Ah, there we go.
There you go. It's the type of thing where it's like, well, I don't really want, like, I don't want to commit, but also by not committing, it's like, how are they gonna get in? It's like just down tilt jab is like it's still just like a wall.
Sometimes you don't commit so much that suddenly you're like, oh, I've cornered myself. Yeah.
Which is why you kind of have to combine it with with good movement and like knowledge of like where you are on the stage, basically. But it's like.
So one of the things that I'm always extremely impressed by is when I watch someone just dash dance someone to the corner.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you didn't swing. And the other person just kept slowly dashing back, and you just kept. And I'm like, that is like the stage control just on pure movement is so impressive.
It's ridiculous, right?
It's so impressive. Did we get a Junebug raid?
Did Nair just kill?
At some point. It just says today. I don't know when.
Yeah, I saw it earlier, but.
Hello, June, if you're still here. How you doing, friend?
Okay, we are even on last stock now. This is make or break for Veka here. You gotta find your big opening.
he absolutely
This
can do
is
it.
a pretty big opening.
The BB blast.
That's a pretty big opening. Oh, down tilt barely misses. That's a nice mix-up from Landon to not
Oh, jumps
put
into
themselves
it.
in a position.
Yeah,
Ooh.
now you have to spend a resource. Okay,
Yep.
we did land though. But, I mean, we've seen what Landon can do off of, like, even if you land and get your resources back.
Yep, down smash was just nice space coverage there.
Yeah, it's one of the panic options that, like, is good sometimes.
Yeah.
It's scary into the... They're both doing that rising nair into the down air, and I literally don't see anyone else go for it. It's so good. It's the tech.
That was the tech coverage
No
was there.
way! The tech into the up air!
Oh, the
Oh
tech
my
coverage was there, but the
God.
F smash just didn't hit. Oh.
You won't get in my way.
He went to like out of state, right? I've never seen him miss